Yo, what is up, YouTube? Back in the garage. We got Nick doing some last minute drift prep before tomorrow at Summit Point, Drifters of December. So stay tuned for that. And we also got some cool stuff that we're gonna do to that. Something fun that we're gonna do before the drift event tomorrow. So that'll be in this video, stay tuned. But on this thing, as you guys know, I painted the engine bay and basically got everything ready to go in the car for the engine to go in. Just some minor things left to do. Came out very nice. I'm very happy with the finish. I'm very happy with the 2K clear. Go check out that video. Now it is a race to the finish line with this thing to get it ready to go back in. So originally I was gonna leave this thing completely stock, throw it back in and not worry about it. I still am pretty much doing that, except for just a few modifications to make this thing a little bit more reliable. So as you guys know, I originally bought a wide body kit for the RX8. It was a Rocket Bunny kit, and I kind of was gonna make this thing into a show car. Didn't really quite know what I wanted to do with it, but I had, you know, I just got really good deals on those things and was gonna go with it. But Nick inspired me to make this thing into a drift car. So you can't have both. So I decided to sell off those things and use those funds to basically turn this engine into a reliable LS engine for drifting. Nothing crazy as far as performance, power modifications, but just some things that will make the engine last as I'm sliding around the track.
Make it useful.
Yeah, make it useful. So
just driving to the show.
Yeah, I figure if a couple $100 saves me from having to ever swap an engine again or get another LS engine, it's worth it. So the capital investment is worth the cost savings later. All right, so as you guys know with this thing, if you watched, I think the very first video, I showed this hole in my oil pan. This was from me picking up the engine. I cracked it. It must have just been sitting weird in my truck bed and cracked a hole in it. So since day one, I have had a new oil pan ready to go on this thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this old one off. What's going on?
Bleeding my coolant.
Any idea why the fans aren't turning on?
No, they did.
Oh, they did?
They turned on, and then it sucked a bunch of fluid down, and it dropped like 20 degrees. So I'm trying to get the rest of the fluid I took out to go back in, and then I'm just gonna cap it.
So it's that little T.
Not the cleanest way to do it, but it's the easiest and the cheapest.
Dude, that gauge is sweet. That's what mine will look like, right?
Yeah, you can change the colors of it and stuff.
Heck yeah. Oh no, is there no orange?
I thought there was.
Oh no.
You got red.
Yeah, red would be the closest probably.
Alright.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that looks better. So what I have to replace my stock oil pan, this is actually just a cheap replacement. So it's kind of a replica OEM F-body pan. I originally got this because I just needed to replace my pan. So there was no reason to go crazy or anything, so this is pretty cheap. Now what I decided to do differently once this thing became a drift car was actually get this improved racing baffling that goes straight into the OEM pan. By the time I bought the pan and bought this, I probably could have bought a like performance racing oil pan that was baffled. The first reason I didn't do that is because I already had this pan, so I would have been just buying way more stuff than I need. This one would have gone to waste. And the other reason is because I know the F-body pan works with my setup in the RX8, so I didn't want to have to go hunt down a pan that would work and then find out that I had to shave off something on the subframe or whatever to get it to fit. So this was the best way I could do it. Still the cheapest way. It still would have been more money to get a full baffled pan, so this was still the cheapest way. If you're not aware of what the baffling does in the oil pan, basically in the pocket where the pickup tube sits, you have these door hinges, which is pretty much all they are. And what they do, they only hinge inward. So if you think about it, they only let oil into this pocket where the pickup tube is. Once there's oil in there, it can't flow out, at least very easily. So it pretty much creates a nice pocket of oil, and even whenever you're sloshing around and you got the G-forces, it will keep the oil in there. So basically what I'm gonna do is take this old baffling out, use the same bolts, and bolt this one in. I am gonna Loctite them. The instructions don't call for it, but I don't want any chance of those bolts rattling out and having bolts in my engine. All right, guys, the baffling is officially installed. They all move freely. So the next thing I have for this thing, to keep my engine cool while I'm drifting, I'm gonna run the OEM RX8 oil cooler. So I'm basically using the stock mounting right on the front of the car. To make that work with the LS, I had to make my own lines, which I'll show in a later video whenever I fully assemble the engine in the car. But for now, I have to add a spot for those lines to connect. And what I have here is a block off plate that replaces the OEM block off plate. So this is a little bit of an experiment. This is a cheap eBay oil cooler adapter that was $30 versus a name brand, which would be about $150. Usually for something like this, I probably would just spend the money, but this I would consider just a block of aluminum with a few holes in it. So as long as it doesn't leak, I think it'll work. So one thing I've already noticed with it, the fittings have this really rough coating on them. I don't know if they're supposed to be like that. The block itself has a really nice coating, but the fittings on the flares, I don't see them sealing very well because of how rough the coating is. It's very hard to tell on camera, but you can kind of see it there. You can kind of see it here on the hex part of it, how rough of a coating that is. So these are just 10AN straight fittings. So I'm actually gonna get rid of these. The flare inside of it looks good. That coating looks nice and smooth. Looks machined really well. And what I'm doing is replacing these fittings with these Evil Energy fittings. You can see the difference on the flare there of the coating. And I think for a couple bucks extra, I'm gonna try these fittings and see if these help seal it. Maybe these would have sealed fine, but I figure right off the bat, I might as well try to prevent any leaking and any redoing anything. So for about $50 total, I have this oil cooler adapter plate with the extra fittings, and that's still about $100 cheaper than buying Improved Racing or an Earl's adapter plate. So like I said, it's an experiment. If you want to spend the money, go ahead. I'm gonna try this and see if it works out for me. So another thing that I'm doing with my standalone LS harness, I am deleting the oil level sensor. So this is the spot on the passenger side where that would usually thread in. This is an ICT billet plug made specifically for this. Comes with an O-ring, so that just goes right in there. Oh no! Dude, that'll look good. Dude, I'm glad you did that. That'll like, I thought you were just gonna get white. But dude, silver will look good. Nick decided to go crazy and do a livery for the drift event tomorrow, so we're gonna come up with something nice for his car, something cool. So that's what he's gonna be working on while I finish up this engine. I'll keep you updated. We've already kind of drew a little outline here with some paint marker just to kind of get an idea where it's gonna be. So stay tuned for that. I'll keep you updated. So we got the vinyl done. What do you think, Nick?
At first, it was frustrating, but it honestly got a lot better after.
Well, we both started working on separate parts. Yeah. So yeah, we ate some pizza, and we both started working on separate parts, and it went a lot quicker. So, dude, it looks sick whenever you're driving. Like, yeah, it looks like a race car. Oh heck yeah, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, the silver's sick. I almost like, in certain lightings, you almost can't see the silver, which is cool. Like, it gets real dark, but yeah, that's awesome.